Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel and welcome to this video. Today we will be painting a beautiful sky with some birds, and for that I'll be using this Centenaire watercolor paper. It is 300 GSM or 140 pounds. It is also cold pressed. I will be using this larger flat brush 22 number from Raphael, also this Panart number 8 mop brush, this Levinson brush that I will link in the description box. For the watercolors, I'll be using White Nights, and colors are going to be Cadmium Yellow Medium, Indanthrene Blue, Mother Lake Red Light. So I will start with wetting my paper, and for that I'll be using this larger flat brush. Just gonna wet the entire paper, minding that I don't have puddles anywhere. And with Indanthrene Blue, I'm gonna paint in the sky, parts of it, and also water. I'm leaving some parts white in the sky because in between I will be adding some Cadmium Yellow Medium and also just above the horizon line. And I'm also minding not to paint green in my skies. A little bit of the yellow also in the water. And now I'm mixing Cadmium Yellow Medium and Mother Lake Red Light to create orangey tone, and just again paint above the horizon line and going into my blue sky, but also leaving some yellow parts. Mixing Indanthrene Blue into that Mother Lake Red Light and yellow just to create this purplish tone, and again going in between oranges and yellows just above the horizon line, adding a little bit more of blue, and all the while my sky is still wet. And now I have picked up this Panart brush that I can do a little bit more details with, mixed in more saturated Mother Lake Red Light and Indanthrene Blue, and I'm just painting in some clouds. I do want to make them quite soft, so I'm just using the belly of my brush, pressing it into the paper, and then with the tip of the brush I'm just spreading the paint and creating those fuzzy clouds. A little bit more blue at the top, at the clouds above. And again using the tip of the brush for detail, smaller clouds, and the belly of the brush for those fuzzy larger clouds. And going above, more to the top, I do want my clouds to be bigger because that's actually nearer to us. So we can see those clouds larger than those that are nearest to the horizon line, which are going to naturally be smaller because they are further away from us. So this part started to dry, so I'm also using clean water to soften the edges where my paint already dried. I do not want to re-wet that part of the paper because I don't want to move my clouds around, so I'm just using clean water. You can see me now just softening the edges, but I'm not using too much water in my brush, just a tiny bit, so I don't disturb the pigment that I already put onto the paper. For the lower part, I'm going to paint in the water, and it's going to be painted with Indanthrene Blue and Mother Lake Red Light mix. You can see I haven't mixed them perfectly, so I have pigments in my brush that's just mixing on the paper and creating nice textures. A little bit more of the pigment in the lower part. I do want to have a little bit darker water, and going to the horizon line I do want to make them lighter. So I will place the masking tape just above the horizon line because I do want to have clean and sharp horizon line. So again, using the same mix of Indanthrene blue and Mother Lake red light. And I do not really want the dry brush effect here, so I'm painting the entire sky, picking up a little bit more of the pink and then picking up a little bit more of the blue. While this is still wet, I picked up my masking tape, dried it fully, and now just above that horizon line I do want to add a little bit more of those pink clouds. So this time I'm painting wet on dry, and I'm not having a lot of water also in my brush, just from the pigment that I've mixed on my palette. And I'm using quite light washes, pigments, adding also a little bit more of the yellow in between. Just to create that golden effect. And I do want to paint in a couple of birds, so I'm using this detailed brush from Lebenson, using the tip of my brush to start in the wing and then the belly, just pressing it a little bit harder to paint in the bird, the body of the bird, and just that part of the wing nearest to the body. I'm going to make them quite simple. Not going to paint detailed birds, just using the tip and the belly of the brush to create the impression of the birds. Mixing quite a dark pigment, again Mother Lake red light in Indanthrene blue, and I'm going to add a little bit more of the details to the water. This is very, very light, just barely any pigment in my brush. It looks darker because it's wet. It's going to dry lighter and barely visible. A little bit more of that pink just above the horizon line. I do want to make it a little bit darker. And also going into my water. If I want to soften the edges, I'm using clean towel to pick up the paint, soften the edge. And again, I'm not using a lot of pigment. You can see on the lighter part that I'm using very, very light mixture. And I decided I do want to create the darker parts just nearest to the horizon line, so I'm darkening that part and also the part nearest to us, adding a little bit more of the blue. And with that, I'm done. So it's quite simple. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, maybe learned something or just had some fun. That's also fine. If you do like it, please hit the like button, share it and comment. If you haven't still, please do subscribe to my channel. I have lots of tutorials there for beginners and advanced painters. And if you want to join me in real-time videos and paint with me, you can just join me on my Patreon. All of it, it's linked in the description box. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I do hope I will see you next time. Bye!